You're listening to the Conchester Briefing Show podcast on Anchor FM.
Alrighty. Welcome back to another edition of the Conchester Briefing Show. I'm Jason, and yes, good evening, welcome. Tonight's topic is going to be about the conservative right. Now, this is just it, and there's a reason why I chose this topic for tonight, because in this political spectrum of ours that's on board in the world, where we have right-wingers, left-wingers, and we've got the centralists and all the different type of isms out there. People seem to get offended when they hear the word conservative right. Then you start getting labelled. People start labelling you names that you are against this right, and how can I trust you, and you want to bring violence into my home. And in this podcast, there's a video that I want to play. But as soon as I get my guest on the line, just to give you an example on how people react when they hear the word conservative right. So tonight, my special guest on tonight's podcast is Sabastian. Sabastian is a good friend of mine that I know on a political forum. We befriended some months ago. And we have very interesting convos on Discord. Likewise with my previous two podcasts with the Burn Wednesday, when we spoke about philosophy. This man too, Sabastian, I mean, he's the way he thinks. I love the way he thinks, and that's one of the reasons why I've got him on this podcast tonight, so we can talk about in depth on the conservative right. So okay, yeah, without further ado, let me get Sabastian on the line and we take it from there. Okay, see you now. Sebastian, buddy, are you there?
Yeah, I'm all right. Right here, Jason. Thank you for having me tonight.
How's it, man? How you doing, man?
Hey? Carrying on, battling on. Everyday battles against paying bills, working hard. You know it.
No, of course, sir. That's what can we do? We live in a society where we have to work. We're basically slaves. Tell me, okay, thank you for joining us here on the Conchester Briefing podcast. The topic, I've told the listeners already, the topic is about the conservative right. But before we get into that, let's give a quick introduction. Let the listeners, give some more detail on who you are, what you're about.
Well, yeah, as I said, I'm Sabastian, 29. I'd say I'm your average South African Joe, waking up in the morning, going to work, clogging in, doing my hours, coming back and paying my bills. I'm not very political in a sense. I follow current events. I follow news at home. I follow news overseas. I look at everything. I tend to be more of a thinker, somebody who stays back and likes to observe.
No, of course, sure. That's all we do. We just think all day. All right, I've got a quick intro. Anything else you wanted to add? Nothing else?
No, that's it.
I got a quick introduction, yeah? I'm just going to read it out. Can you see it there in front of you?
Yeah, I got it.
In the world politics, in liberal democracies, the political right opposes socialism and social democracy. Right-wing parties include conservatives, Christian Democrats, classical liberals, nationalists, and on the far right, racists and fascists. The definition itself can be interpreted to cause a lot of confliction on all borders of the political spectrum. Yeah, in a nutshell, that's how you would explain what conservative is. But that's not why we're here. We're here because we want to go in-depth chat on why people get upset when you mention the name conservative, for starters.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm thinking about just what you said. Conservatism. The old, in some sense, the boogie word. Especially in South Africa, I think a lot of people still, when they hear the word conservatism, they think about the National Party. They think about white Afrikaners, in a sense, God-fearing.
That's right, yeah.
non-progressive, narrow-minded folks, and I don't think that is correct.
Yeah, it's not. Let's play this quick video. Okay, so for the listeners out there, there's just this video I want to play. For the record, disclaimer purposes, this podcast has not been monetized. So the video that I'm playing is just for, just so that you people can understand exactly how some people, not all people, how some people in the world see conservative. Okay, I'm going to play the video quickly.
Did you hear about Greg?
Yes.
Greg, man, yeah, I heard last night.
I didn't think he was alive after that.
Jeez, again. It was a big night.
Huge night.
Right.
Huge night for some.
Hey, you guys are my close friends, and if I told you something about me, that wouldn't change anything, right?
No, of course not.
Okay, good, because I've been struggling with this for a while, and I think I'm finally ready to talk about it.
Man, you can tell us anything.
We're here for you.
Okay, good. It's not easy, but I want to be true to myself and the people around me, so here goes. I'm a conservative.
There's complete silence. This is where you said he's a conservative.
What? I'm a conservative. I'm right wing.
Hang on. Hey, you're kidding, right?
No. Why would I joke about this?
But you're brown. How can you be right wing?
Look, I know it's not what you'd expect, but this is me. This is who I am.
No. It's probably just a phase,
Yeah. Don't worry. You'll get over it soon.
Yeah.
It's not a phase. I'm right wing. I like the free market. I like individual rights. I like personal responsibility. It just feels so right. And I don't want to hide it anymore.
So you hate women?
No, I didn't say that.
You hate gays.
No.
You hate immigrants?
No, I don't hate anyone. I mean, I don't particularly like the government. But only when they go too far.
I don't believe this.
We were your friends.
I let you babysit my kids.
It's not contagious. I'm not going to indoctrinate your kids. And hey, I'm still the same person. I still like drinking beer and eating pizza and playing video games. I just have a few different opinions. That's it.
Well, climate change is not an opinion.
No, but what we do about it is... Look, I'm not who you think I am. The media try to scare everyone into thinking who we are is somehow wrong and immoral, but it's not. We're just like you.
I hope you get a disease and you can't afford the treatment.
Wow. Okay. Well, I thought you guys would be more understanding, but clearly I was wrong.
You're wrong about everything.
Oh, I haven't even told you my views.
You've told us you're conservative. I mean, what more do you need to say?
Well, we're not all the same. It's a spectrum. Some people are really conservative, some people are just a little bit conservative.
So where do you lie on this spectrum of stupidity?
Well, I'm still trying to work that out. I know I'm not right-wing on everything, but I'm right-wing on most things, I think.
Alright, so you'll take free healthcare, but you're okay with letting kids die?
No! We're not a bunch of monsters. We're human beings. We just think a little bit differently. I mean, most of the time we just want the government to leave us alone. That's it.
Okay, Sebastian, I'm going to kill it there. That's crazy. That's absolute crazy. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's a entertaining skit, so to say. But yeah, it reinforces the stereotypes in a sense of when people tend to these days think about a conservative.
Yeah.
Conservative is pretty much against everything and anything and anyone in a way or another.
I tell you what, let's give the listeners a deep understanding of what conservative is. Conservatives believes in personal responsibility, limited government, free markets, individual liberty, traditional values, and strong national defense belief the role of government should be provided people the freedom necessary to pursue their own goals. Again, in a nutshell, that's how people would probably want to see conservative. But what's your definition furthermore to that?
I believe conservatives tend to be very much, in a sense, regarding traditional values. It combines both liberal values with perhaps even moral values in a sense. I think conservatism tends to be, it has a sense, it has some religious leaning, even though lots of non-religious people are conservative as well. So it's not...
Yeah, that's just the thing. It's changing dramatically as we know it. And, some people they just can't handle change,
That's true. The thing is with conservatism, conservatives generally are opposed to changes. Conservatives tend to be quite cautious, especially with new ideas. I believe conservatives always tend to think a little bit back and go, wait a minute, let's talk about this. Or whatism could be a lot the case, was like, in a sense, to say what will be the consequences of things. The main thing is, though, conservatism just simply opposes modernism, and we tend to. I wouldn't classify myself as a classical conservative in a sense. I tend to see myself more as a conservative libertarian. But the main thing is, I oppose modernism, and I do like the way things are or were in a sense.
Yeah, but that's just the thing. In the society that we live, there's just so many rules and so many laws. You don't know which one to follow. And I suppose conservatives are just scared of that change. They're scared of what it will do to our youth. And I suppose at the same time, they're scared of what it will do to our future. How is it with all the new laws that's going on with right-wing and left-wing politics and that? It's changing everything as we know. We are actually going through that period of change right now as we speak.
Oh, absolutely. I think the lines have shifted. The definitions have shifted in a sense. I don't think we don't have our classical social democrats anymore. We don't have our classical conservatives anymore. Center right and center left has become so blurred. It's actually very difficult to sometimes even tell the difference. This entire, especially, I believe centrism has taken over. A lot of people consider themselves centrist without actually knowing what centrism is. And populism has taken over as well. It's definitely, populism has taken over politics.
And it's that's what's happening in SA. Populism has taken over to a huge extent.
Not only in South Africa, it's taken over in, especially Western Europe and the United States.
Yeah. And in countries like England, and that's my next question. My next question is flipped conservatism at the heart of extreme democratic outcomes like Brexit and Trumpism?
I disagree.
Okay, let's hear what you say.
All right. Trumpism. That could be a podcast by itself. That could be a long chance. I believe that Trump is not your classical conservative. I believe Trump is, I always like to refer to him as the Democrat, maybe 60s, 80s Democrat who ran on a Republican ticket.
He was a Democrat a few years ago. Okay, maybe, how many, but 30 years ago.
He was, yeah. But
he was, and then he became an independent, and then recently now with his presidency, he's now a Republican. Yeah,
correct. Even though he's not a traditional Republican, if you look at any former Republican presidents, they tend to be really more of an American conservatism, which is a difference. That they were all about God, guns, and country.
Yeah.
While I think Trump is very, very patriotic. He does not really. And sorry, I need to backtrack on that one statement. And
go ahead.
Republican presidents were all evangelists, so they were really into their religion, into, like, as I mentioned, God, guns, and country. And I don't think Trump really doesn't fit into that category, especially also his comments about, same-sex marriage in the United States and and his social policies aren't actually very conservative. I think Trump really is among the... he sways between center-left and center-right in a sense, and he's definitely a populist.
Okay. And an ego trip in, and a narcissist. We can definitely agree he's a narcissist.
I don't know. I'm not convinced of it. I think he has a cult of personality, that's for sure. But he does not fit into the definition of classical conservative, and definitely not a typical American Republican. And I not to spend too much on Trump and the Republicans, but I think the GOP, the Grand Old Party, is going to have a very hard time finding candidate after the Trump presidency comes to an end, either in 2020 or 2024.
Yeah, he just released a statement saying that if he doesn't get in at 2020, then what did he say? I think he said the stock markets and everything will just crash. Given his threat. Did you see that?
No, I haven't actually. I've been working the last couple of days, so it was... there we go. He's definitely done some good for America, that's for sure. I think he's one of the better US presidents.
Yeah, but that's what that's his next photo that I got, yeah? If you compare what Obama did and if you compare what Trump did, there is some good things he did. The unemployment rate is 3.9 at the moment. And when Obama was president, it was 9.9. And everybody else can see the list there. But then again, a lot of people are saying, but this is because of what Obama did. Obama set that trend. And then Trump obviously joined in right at the time where things are starting to look good. Do you agree?
No, I disagree. Oh. I think Trump has pulled his own strings. One thing, I follow an American YouTuber, which I would recommend everybody to also follow. His name is Styx Hexenhammer 666. He's a really classical libertarian as you get him.
Oh, if you got the link, post it on you, and I'll put it in my description.
Sure. Yeah. He said something about the oil industry. One thing that Obama did, he did not strangle the U.S. oil industry. And I don't know if your listeners actually are aware of this. The biggest oil producer currently in the world is the United States of America.
Yeah, we know that everything is sold in dollars, Mosia. Or the oil.
Correct.
Sold in dollars. Yeah.
But oil, in terms of oil production, the U.S. has taken over the oil production. They're the highest producers of oil right now.
Yeah.
I believe Russia is second and Saudi Arabia is third.
Yeah, Putin. There was also an article I read online that Putin saying that he wants to make sure the dollar gets left behind. That's a scary statement to make. Okay, yeah, there we go. Got the link. But
I can't comment on that because I didn't read the article.
Yeah, no, I'll share it with you so you can actually read on it. Yeah. But my take on what Trump is doing, it's like he wants to, when he says make America great again, okay, he wants to get the GDP back to where it must be. And he wants to get factories where people can manufacture goods and just let the American economy grow on its own, by using Americans to produce things, not by using China to make products and that. I don't know, that's just the way I feel about it.
Yeah, he's a protectionist in a sense. He's with all the trade and tariffs and everything. I think he's really pushing a very pro-American message. And a lot of people have interpreted it differently, but it is very much about jobs, GDP numbers, economic growth. So he's very much, that is his focus, and this is where he's winning. He's winning in terms of the economy.
Yeah. Well, there's just some stats on him. Almost 4 million jobs created since the elections. Not much I can say for SA. I like it when he says we have created more than 400,000 manufacturing jobs since my election. Manufacturing SA will be a boost for the GDP, definitely. I mean, if we can just get manufacturing on board again, on track, boom, our GDP will grow. Economic growth for last quarter hit 4.2%. Well, our GDP was a minus 3.2 recently. The stats came out last week. Almost 3.9 million Americans have been lifted off food stamps since the election. In our country, we've got 16 million people on SASSA grants. Remember we spoke about this a few weeks ago?
Yeah, I remember.
And then retail sales surged last month, up another 6% over last year. In SA, on year, it's 2.4%, but in April there was a revised 0.1% gain. So those just 5 good things that I can speak about, that Trump has done. But then let's look at the bad things, the people that how they badmouth him.
I think Trump has caused a lot of division amongst people.
Oh, he has, and the Mexico wall, for one, that is the media are having fun and games with it, and now that he wants to make Mexico pay for it. His friendship with Russia, for one, people are against that. The travel ban, total shutdown of Muslims entering the country, getting rid of Obamacare, and then lastly, we all know how he feels about the LGBT rights. So yeah, there's good things and then there's bad things, that make him look bad.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, he has quite. You either love him or hate him. I don't believe the people can't see to be able to find the in between to go. This is where he's good and this is where he's bad.
No, there is. I mean, these last few days I've been trying to do some research on him and trying to speak to different people on the platforms. There's a lot of hatred out there over him, man. And then, of course, like you just said, and there's certain other platforms where people say, what he's doing is right. And then, that's where the word comes in, conservative. Then you get labeled conservative, right?
Or right-winger, even though he does not fit the definition of a right-winger at all.
Yeah, it doesn't, not at all,
Brexit.
Yeah, Brexit, yeah.
Other global phenomenon. The UK wanted to become independent from the European Union and completely exit.
That's it.
Do you think it's conservatism that has caused Brexit? And again, I tend to disagree.
Look I don't know if you watched the movie Brexit. Did you watch the movie Brexit where they did the campaigning? It was more about the immigration. I think it was immigration from Turkey. They were going to let like a couple of million people in, and so they made this campaign, and Brexit became Brexit.
I think I've spoken to somebody regarding Brexit who is actually British, and I was speaking to him about how would you classify the whole Brexit movement, and he said it was not a conservative movement. It's not a socialist movement in a sense as well. It is simply a sovereign, to gain a sovereign state again. It was all about
sovereignty,
bringing decision making back into British hands or British government instead of the European Union dictating laws. And there's a couple, I believe Margaret Thatcher in the 90s.
The Iron Lady.
Before the Iron Lady, before she left her position as Prime Minister. Had a speech, and she was speaking about the European Union. And one thing in the speech is that she said that the European Union will take any decision away from national parliament. And I believe she was right in a sense. And I believe the Brexit movement is because the Brits believed it was. I watched an interview recently, and with an Australian lady who lives in Great Britain, and she was saying that the idea of the European Union, or the reason why, and I might be misquoting here, is one of the reasons why the United Kingdom joined was because it was a free trade agreement, and that was the idea behind it.
I don't know much. I just know bits and pieces of Brexit. What's going on there?
Yeah, it's the same here. But I think it's also just because you put it on a topic. I don't believe it's a conservative movement. It has definitely not contributed to it.
Okay. No, I'm cool.
I believe really it's been a movement about sovereignty.
Yeah.
And decision making at local level.
Yeah. I hear you. Coming back to South Africa now.
Okay.
Our political parties think they are practicing nationalism and socialism, and maybe, I disagree, but I think most African parties practice conservatives themselves. And when I say conservatives themselves, I mean through tribalism. I got something here. President Moi Koi of Kenya has categorized tribalism as a cancer. This is an accurate description of a demoralizing challenge that we face in Africa. Tribes are a contradiction in today's Africa. They are an evil in tribe is not in power, and a benefit if your tribe is in power. Africans would more likely speak of peoples, ethnicities, ethnicities or cultures. Some of the wealthiest people in the world live in Africa. People tend to have stereotypes of Africans living in grass huts and having tribal wars. That was true about 100 years ago. Politicians that want to stay in power, however, are actually the ones who still want to practice conservatism, and that conservatism is not like the Western conservatism. It's more like tribalism among their voters, keeping cultural beliefs of old in modern society.
I got it, and it's quite a statement, because they're not wrong. They're not wrong. They want to hold on to old traditional values. They hold dear.
Exactly. They want to hold on to the old values.
So I don't think that the South African government practices conservatism. I don't believe that to be
it's
the case.
Maybe the word's been used in the wrong context as such, but maybe more old ways. They're sticking to old ways. I mean, Shaka Zulu back in his days, I mean, he sent people out to go study white people and that, and try and learn new ways and that. The question was, did it work for him, and what was his plans? But the history that was recorded on Shaka was only the last 4 years of his life after Dingaan killed him, So, I don't know what politicians of today are doing in our country. People are agreeing with it.
Question.
Yeah.
I think in general, my feeling is that South African society, everyone across the board, I believe we've lived still in a very conservative society. We have an extremely liberal constitution, and I've always, for many, many years, held the belief that if you look at the South African constitution, it's a liberal constitution drafted for a conservative country.
Yeah.
And most South Africans are God-fearing, law-abiding, family-orientated people.
Yeah.
And who hold on to tradition. And your tradition could be you going to church on Sundays, you're having a Saturday evening braai, waking up at 6 a.m. to be at 8 o'clock in the office.
Yeah,
and
true.
Just holding on to their tradition in a sense. And I think it is still practiced across our society.
Yeah, true what you say there.
And I think Big Daddy Liberty definitely made a point about it. He said a similar thing, and I think it is very true. We are holding on to these values, which is nothing wrong with our traditional values.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah. Big Daddy Liberty is cool. Ask Marky's podcast.
Yeah, I think he's doing excellent work. He's fighting the good fight. Trying to change people's minds and spreading his ideas.
I'll put, for the listeners out there, I'll put a link of Big Daddy Liberty in my podcast description. You guys need to go onto his channel and listen. He's awesome, man. So how can society understand everything we just mentioned and put this into a comprehensive way of thinking? So many of us, suffer from that word, my favorite word, cognitive dissonance. We blocked. We grow up with a certain indoctrination, with certain beliefs, like we've been mentioning this whole podcast, basically. But how to make people understand this? This is the thing. We can't make people understand. I mean, we all understand what the word means, cognitive dissonance, what it means, how our belief system, and we blocked. And so the moment you try to argue it and try and give different point of views and different opinions, then people get angry about it.
Yeah, correct. That's very true. Maybe we've lost, maybe you lost the way in a sense, to find it, because everything has become so polarized, and we have descended into mudslinging and labeling people. And as we touched upon in the opening of the conversation, is people are quick to label other people. You are this, you are that. So it's. I guess one of the best ways to just simply battle is we just simply need to talk to each other, and people have to We have to respect opposing viewpoints.
Exactly. And people just need to watch more videos like Big Daddy Liberty and the Renegade Report. I mean, I love the Renegade Report. Ramon and Jonathan, they're doing an absolute fantastic job.
Yeah, especially, if you're mentioning Big Daddy Liberty, even the Institute for International Race Relations, which
The
Big
IRR,
Daddy
yeah.
Liberty is, the IRR. The IRR does fantastic work, and I've mentioned it about a couple of days back. Their Hope report that they've released 2019. I think everybody should go and read it and have a look at it.
I did, and it's a fantastic report,
It doesn't paint our society as doom and gloom as you would actually think it is, you know. And these figures were surprising in a sense, but also not.
I wanted to screenshot some of that stuff now that you're talking about it, because I went into it was a survey that they did with 1,000 people, and they asked a various set of questions on how do you feel about racism and etc., etc. And it was surprising to see that the percentages on how people feel about racism being a real threat was less. You know, it was a very good report. Very good.
Yes, I actually got the report in front of me right now as we are speaking. And it's. I would suggest everybody who likes to scream racism all the time to really have a look at this report, and you actually be surprised.
Yeah, it's just scapegoating. Everything that politicians are doing, it's scapegoating. Man. People have got their own set of opinions, you know.
Correct. No, I think it's just sometimes, you know, they're saying the baby that screams the loudest gets the most attention.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah, I'm gonna also leave a link. I'll leave a link on that report, the Hope report, and let the listeners out there listen. All right, on to my next question. People are why are conservatives anti-progressive? You know, agreed. We do need science, we do need technology and economic development, but there's a picture. Do you remember that picture I sent you? I think this is probably one of the reasons why conservatives are against anti-progressive. There's a picture there. There's a picture of 15 years ago. All right. Listening to music. Today, a guy behind the computer. That's us now. And then the next one is watching a movie. And then today, you know, a guy sitting behind the computer, contacting people on the normal telephone, the normal old Telkom telephone. Reading the news on the newspaper, making music, and then the last one's masturbating. Okay, that's
we don't have to go on to this one.
But I think what the conservatives are trying to say is there was a movie, and I just can't get the name of this movie, man. I remember it was an animation movie where everybody was on the spaceship and they left Earth and they went to another planet, but all these kids, all these children, they were sitting on these chairs, these floating hovercraft chairs. In front of them, they had these screens. But there was one problem with the picture. Everybody was fat. Fat and huge and ginormous.
I believe it was Wally.
Was it?
Wally.
Yeah, it's Wally. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And
I do.
This is probably exactly the thing why conservatives are anti-progressive against this type of our technology in it. Because we're becoming lazy. As a society, we are dumbstruck lazy.
It is very, very worrying. And I think that picture sums it up quite well. We have to always be very critical of technology, especially new technology. And I mean, technology has changed our society so much. I think technology has generally rapidly accelerated from the 80s onwards.
Yeah, of course it has.
Taken off in the 90s and early 2000s, you know. So there's a constant change happening. And I think a lot of people are wary of it. Because, you know, your smartphone in your pocket is now equivalent to a desktop computer.
True.
And you have immense power in your hand.
But now, when it comes to like mathematics, a calculation needs to be done. And many of us, we can't think of the sum straight away. So what do? We grab the cell phone out and we start calculating. If there was something we need to know about history, What do? We don't know it. We take it ourselves and we Google it. In a sense, technology has made us lazy. We can't really think for ourselves anymore. So we are basically relying on technology.
I agree with you.
So how do we get away around that? I mean, the pass rate in this country of ours at the moment is 30%. Our skills,
Absolutely shocking.
Yeah, our skills is dropping down. If the job needs to be done, then what we do is we hire people from overseas to come in and do jobs for us, which is wrong. This is all part of the reasons why unemployment rate is so huge in SA.
Yeah, I believe with South Africa, what do you, Jason, what do you think would be the solution in your opinion?
Well, straightforward, education needs to change. I mean, we need to have the education, and discipline needs to be a bit more strict. Okay, I don't want to bring back corporate punishment. Corporate punishment is not the answer because it leads to violence, and that we all know that the trend out what people say about corporate punishment then. But discipline needs to come back. There needs to be different discipline measurements in place. Because, let's face it, I watched this in a movie a long time ago, and they say fear is a good thing because fear tells you when to stop. Now, if you are taking fear away from people and you're trying to educate them, you as a teacher now, you're trying to educate and teach children, this is what we need to do in that. And then the children just laugh at the teacher because they know nothing's going to happen to them. Because you can't discipline them. If you do discipline them, they threaten the teachers. They say, I'm going to sue you. My dad's going to get a lawyer on you and you're going to be sued. You hear what I'm saying?
No, I hear you, but I've always said this. Schools are not there to teach you discipline. Discipline starts at home. Discipline starts with your parents.
That too. Okay. Maybe I forgot that. The discipline starts at home, yeah. Of course, yeah. So a reform, a social program, a reform program needs to be invented where parents need to discipline their kids properly. And I want to say the old way, but yeah, this is what the podcast is about. It's about conservatism. We don't want to go back to the old way. So of course, if we don't want to go back to the old way, then new measurements must be made up, must be created. So that when children go to school, they need to learn. I need to learn because if I don't, by the time I pass matric and I want to go to college. But how can I go to college when I didn't get any education in school?
Personal responsibility.
Personal responsibility, of course, yeah.
And it has to be taught at home. And in a sense, it has to be taught in schools as well. You are responsible for your action, and your actions do have consequences.
Yeah.
And discipline, people tend to think with discipline, you need to suffer with discipline. You don't necessarily have to suffer with discipline.
There you go, absolutely.
Discipline can be a routine. Discipline can be, I mean, Jason, you and I were both employed, so you and I both have to clock in at a certain time. That is discipline. Coming to work on time, that is discipline.
If we keep on coming late,
difficult.
Our punctuality, we get warnings for it.
Exactly, there's consequences.
But they're hard to change that, and this is the worrisome part. How do we change that? And this new political party that I'm interested in, and I've mentioned it in every single podcast now, ZACP. I mean, they are absolutely awesome. Their 10 principle cause is it's meaningful. It's got meaningfulness.
Absolutely. I think the ZACP has brought a lot of hope to people. Unfortunately, didn't perform as expected at the polls.
No, but I got hope.
60.
I got hope for them. They're going to get stronger.
I hope so. And I think that's the real new dawn, in a sense. But I think we have to lead by example.
Yeah.
We need to give these kids, a role model.
Yeah, we have to. Yeah. Because what role model have they got at the moment? I mean, all they see now is all the corruption. And nothing happens about it. And no one's getting locked up in prison. So the children of today are just doing exactly what they want, eh?
Yeah, of course. They see it on the TV. They see it in the neighborhood. They see it in school.
You know what's even more scary?
Kids don't have positive role models.
They don't. What's even more scary? Do you remember a couple of weeks ago we spoke about the rural areas where you will get an individual that will stand out from the rest, get a job, start earning money, start learning how to work with that money, buys himself a car, nice BMW, he buys himself a TV, and then only to discover one day when he comes home from work, everything's burnt down. His whole shack with his TV and everything, his new furniture he bought is burnt down. And this is just it. It's because people are jealous, because he's now a betrayal. He's betraying his people. He's now supporting white economy, and it's wrong. It's totally wrong, man. Do you remember that conversation we had?
Yeah, I remember it vaguely, and that's again. It's about talking to people. It's about giving people hope. I think in South Africa at the moment, people don't have hope.
Yeah.
People don't have positive role model. People see there's a lot of hardship in South Africa.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But the main thing is people don't have access to internet. They don't have access.
Or people don't talk to each other.
They don't talk to each other. Yeah. All that people do in rural areas is just wait for their handouts. Wait for that paycheck. Wait for that grocery hamper that's going to come.
Yeah, but people can't find work. What is our unemployment rate at the moment?
27%. 10, they say.
Shocking numbers.
About 10 million, 12 million, somewhere there. Huge numbers, yeah. But I don't know. We can talk about it, but we'll have to just hope, like the IRRs with that report they gave.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But have you seen on Facebook? It's popped up a lot on my feed about fathers.
About?
Father.
No.
Having fathers. There's a campaign currently, I believe, in South Africa about fathers. Let me see if I can find it. Obviously, it's not going to pop up on my feed now because I need it.
Okay. But it's true. We've had this discussion also that a lot of South Africans are not having fathers at the moment. They don't have that father role. The mother has to go out there to go work. She leaves the child in someone else's care. And that child's not getting, getting to understand what morality is about and ethics.
Yeah. Here, a Father a Nation, a non-governmental organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead, share it. Put it on the group, on the Discord channel.
Yeah, to raise the next generation of men to build a safe, prosperous, and joyful South Africa for women, children, and all men. Founded in 2010, actually. So why do I only hear about it now?
Interesting, huh?
Okay, got it. Wait. Copy link. There we go. And that's what I mean. And this is coming back. South Africa has a strong family tradition, actually.
Yeah.
Where we rely on family,
Okay, yeah, got it. Okay, Sebastian, you think we should call it a wrap?
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. I just...
Very, very brief.
Yeah, very brief, yeah, no problem, yeah. But it's just for the listeners out there to, this thing of labeling people and calling people, you know what? Everybody's got his own opinion, right of choice to choose who he wants to be. Labeling people is not going to help. All it does is just makes things worse. We're not going to get nowhere. As a society, we're not going to grow up and become successful in what we're doing.
I agree with you 100% on that. Calling people names instead of working together is not going to get us anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, Sebastian, don't go away. I'm going to just say goodbye to the listeners.
Sure.
Sebastian, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time, for coming onto the podcast. For the listeners out there, I'm going to leave the links in there. Go into it. Do your own research. Don't just take my word for it. My podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, 11 platforms. This is going to be the radio one that I'm going to put on Anchor FM, and then the video I will put on tomorrow. Okay, guys, thank you. Sebastian, cheers, man. Take it easy. Keep well, eh?
Goodbye.
All right.